When I heard of the Navy Language School, and I learned that that was a place where they very seriously taught the Japanese language, I volunteered. I went to Washington, had an interview with someone in the Navy, and after a time I was accepted for the school. The school was excellent. We had 4 hours of instruction every single day except Sunday. We had learned well enough to read almost any modern Japanese with the help of a dictionary. We were able to converse with people in Japanese, providing the subject was not too difficult. And I could write a letter in Japanese without much trouble. And so also, I should say, we also learned some classical Japanese. And this was important because during the war years, the military wrote their orders in classical Japanese, not in modern Japanese. And the fact we'd learned classical Japanese made it possible for us to read orders and many other things that were in classical Japanese, that were a language that officers of the Japanese armed forces were expected to know. I think many of the Japanese in the military, as well as in the home front, had realized that Japan was not going to win the war. And this meant that in Okinawa we had many prisoners. In Attu, which was the first campaign I took part in, there were only 7 or 8 prisoners altogether. But in Okinawa we had a large number, and some of them were eager to insist on the fact that they really liked democracy, and they didn't want to kill any Americans and so on. But I think my most memorable experience I had was with one of the first prisoners, who was a naval officer, a young naval officer. And he asked me, will you talk to me not as an enemy but as a fellow student? And I said, yes, of course. And he asked me, should I go on living or should I kill myself? And I was only 22 or 23 at the time. I was not an experienced person in such matters. But I told him, as I told other prisoners, that it was their duty to return to Japan and to work in the rebuilding of Japan and New Japan. I hope that I convinced him, but I don't. In any case, he did not commit suicide. He didn't attempt it, and he's still alive.